Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what it is like to work in a DevOps culture, or rather basically how it is to work as a software developer in a company who has 24 hours uptime, which is almost all of them. Generally, the DevOps culture is about basically developers running the system and basically being responsible for the system's uptime. Now, there are a few flavors of companies who do this, and some of the companies do it the right way, in my opinion, and some companies do it in the wrong way, and I'll give you an example of both. So let's get into it. This video is dramatically enough going to be labeled "Don't push code on a Friday," and the reason why you should never ever, if you're working in a DevOps culture, well, you should absolutely never push code to production on a Friday is because if you push on a Friday just before you leave and something goes wrong, you're gonna get a call in the middle of the night or on your weekend. And depending on what type of contract you have, you may or may not have to face the music and actually go into work and fix it, because that's the type of world we live in. Because companies in IT these days want to have 100% uptime, the idea of DevOps is that the developers are responsible for the uptime. So at my job at Ticketmaster, they tried to virtually force. I'm not saying force. I don't know if there are any legal implications for me to say that, but that basically they tried to get everybody to sign an agreement that you would be basically developers would be agreeing on to be on call, basically. And for those of you who don't know what on call means, basically that means that during certain time periods you will be forced to be in a state of readiness. So let's say that you would have to work late, or maybe you have to respond to emergencies within 15 minutes of being called upon, basically. And some of my colleagues would do this over Christmas, which means that on Christmas Eve, if somebody calls them and say, hey, the website is down, they would have to leave their family and friends and basically go to work immediately and solve the problem. That's what it means to be on call as a system developer. Now, the thing is with DevOps, the mantra, or rather the intention behind DevOps, in my opinion, is that you allow it's a two-way street. The benefits to the company is that you don't have to pay for operations teams to basically, because it costs a lot to keep people on staff 24 hours a day. And the thing is that you don't want to pay for that if you can avoid it. And so from the company's perspective, it's very useful to have the engineers who actually built the system to be the people who are in charge of managing and basically making sure that everything is working right. That's the idea. So from the business perspective, it's a very beneficial arrangement to have in a financial way. But that also kind of puts the ball in the developer's court, and basically the intention, at least as I understand it, is that the developers then also are free to structure the application and the development environment and the operations and all that stuff, so that they don't have to so that the odds of something going down is as low as humanly possible. That is not the case for some companies that deal in tickets. I'm not going to tell you which one, but I used to work for them. And it's like some other companies that I've heard of, where the business people, basically all they hear is that, oh, we can fire everybody in the operations team, save all their salaries, and then we'll just have the developers do everything exactly as we're doing it right now without any risk to us. It's just a win-win. It's basically just a cost reduction on our part. Brilliant idea, right? Problem is that if you have a shitty system with a shitty infrastructure, and you don't use things such as Kubernetes or Docker or proper logging and all of these different tools that you kind of need in order to have a robust system that runs 24/7 and has a lot of fault tolerancy, The problem is that you're basically going to force your developers into a situation where they can spend less time working on the actual development and they have to do operations, because if like the idea of automation is that you invest some time and effort with very skilled people and allow them the time and the energy or the resources they need in order to set things up so that you can save on costs and time and so forth long term. But if your thought is that you just have a bunch of people who you can fire and then you have the developers do their work for you, you're kidding yourself. You haven't made any improvement. You're just shuffling some costs, or like the time it takes from one group over to another group, and all of a sudden they have more to do than ever before. So that's a misconception. So what I'm basically trying to say to you as the developer, I assume, as who is watching this video, is that you should be very careful about going. If you're signing an agreement for being on call, be sure that you understand what it actually means to be on call, because it's not like it is a cost to you as a developer. You should at no point sign an agreement saying that you will be on call unless you are absolutely certain that you are working for the sort of company that values robust systems. Because nobody wants to be called away on Christmas Eve or in the middle of the night to fix a system that basically goes down because it's poorly maintained. And that's the case for some companies, so you should be aware of that. DevOps is a great thing. I absolutely love it if the people who are in charge are the sort of people who understand what it means to actually run a DevOps-oriented project. And to me, and the people that I work with, that means that you're using modern tools, you are investing in your platform so that there is the likelihood of something actually breaking is very low. Being on call, at my company now, we've never had a critical failure where I had to come in the middle of the night and fix things. And that's what DevOps is supposed to be. It's not about forcing your developers to wake up in the middle of the night to fix something. The idea is that you make your developers responsible and you get them to take ownership of the entire stack that your product is running on, so that you don't have these problems. It's not about keeping people up at night. It's about designing a system so well that you can all sleep as much as you like. At least that's the way I feel about it. So my tip to you is that just in general, never push code on a Friday, because if you are in a DevOps culture and something breaks, you need to have one of two things in place, ideally both. You should have a fault tolerant system in place so that you can do a rollback if you broke something. And when it comes to pushing, just wait till Monday, because trust me, even if you're 100% sure that everything's, maybe this is not crossing a street where a cat just crossed, you don't pass a street that a black cat crossed, or maybe it's just a jinx. It's this unlucky omen, if you will. Maybe I'm a little bit weird, but I will, if I can avoid it, I'll never push code on a Friday, because you don't want to have to wake up in the middle of the night on Saturday and hear that, hey, the thing that you pushed on Friday broke your entire code base. So that's my rule of thumb. Of course, if you have a really good system and everything is set up properly, maybe you can, but I never take that. If I can avoid it, I'll not take that risk. So yeah, this is my little rant about DevOps and pushing code on a Friday. Hope you have a great day.